Hello, please introduce yourself and tell us about what you do.
My name is Ainis Lagzdins, and I represent Latvia University of Life Sciences and Technologies, and I'm professor and senior research at the Institute of Landscape Architecture and Environmental Engineering. Um, our research group's activities are related with uh, agricultural runoff monitoring and to determine impact of agricultural activities on surface and groundwater quality. And we are involved in implementation of agricultural runoff monitoring program since 1995, and we are having almost 30 years of experience, data, and knowledge in evaluating water quality coming out of agricultural systems. And in this monitoring program, we are taking water samples and performing hydrological measurements in different spatial scales, starting from groundwater, then subsurface drainage systems, small catchments, which are ditches, and then small and medium-sized rivers. And this way we can follow up how water quality changes coming directly from the agricultural field to the medium-sized rivers. And our main focus is nutrients, so nitrogen and phosphorus, since those are the main concerns in Baltic Sea region, leading to eutrophication in the Baltic Sea. And diffuse sources are one of the main contributors to this problem.
What were the drivers for the project? Water Framework Directive? Another legal requirement?
So I would like to start with introducing the project itself. So our university is a partner in a great consortium involved in implementation of a Live Good Water IP project. In short, while the long and full name of the project is the implementation of river basin management plans of Latvia towards good surface water status. And in this project, we have overall 19 partners. It is integrated project lasting for 8 years. And we have the leading partner is Latvian Environment, Geology and Meteorology Center, who is responsible for implementation of Water Framework Directive in Latvia. And this organization also elaborates river basin management plans. Therefore, they took a lead in organizing a consortium of main institutions involved in Latvia in water management. This involves also governmental institutions like Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Climate and Energy. We have also two municipalities where practical actions are taken. And then we are having also research institutions like our university, University of Latvia, also State Forest Research Institute Silava, also PIOR, which is related to animal welfare and also with different aspects from the fish habitat perspective. So those are research institutions, and then we are having Latvian Wastewater and Water Works Association, and non-governmental institutions like Farmers Parliament, World Fund of Nature, Latvian Fund of Nature, Baltic Coast, also Baltic Environmental Forum, and training and consultancy center in Latvia. So all of these institutions have their experience in improving water quality, and we are using all the experience from each partner to make the best what we can out of the project. And obviously, from this point of view, Water Framework Directive is the main driver for this project, river basin management plans, and we are aiming to improve our knowledge and also raise awareness among different kind of stakeholders, mainly landowners about the activities that could be done directly on the land and in the streams to improve water quality. But besides, of course, nitrates directive is another driver which we are looking also in, since both of these directives are aiming for improved water quality slightly from different perspectives. And in this project, we are targeting not only diffuse pollution from agricultural or forested areas, but also point source pollution coming out from wastewater treatment plants of small and medium-sized villages where there are different different problems which we need to deal with amount or the content of the wastewaters to be treated.
What is important about this project, its goals? What is special or unique about it?
So this project started with research activities. So we elaborated the water quality monitoring program. We started to collect water samples in demonstration water bodies that we selected from different purposes. Four water bodies, for example, were selected to address diffuse pollution from agricultural sources. There are also river bodies which are selected to reduce impact of hydromorphological alterations, and some water bodies of lakes are selected to improve management in the catchment area of these lakes. So we are addressing different water quality problems in this project. And as I mentioned before, we started with water quality monitoring so that we would have a good insight in what is going on and which areas are providing the most nutrient inputs and which should be addressed for implementation of practical actions. And after when the monitoring has been carried out for 2 years, we found which are these areas which we should address, and afterwards we switched to elaboration of recommendations for technical design and practices that we could implement directly in the streams. And afterwards, currently we are in the phase of the project where we implement these recommendations. So it started from targeted water quality monitoring so that we could find the best locations that would provide the most efficiency in reducing nutrient losses, since funding is as always limited and we can't establish practices everywhere. So we were targeting them based on the monitoring results.
Was the project focused the biodiversity as well?
Yes, and this is the difference from maybe business as usual in reconstructing and renovating drainage systems. In this case, we paid also very much of our focus on conserving biodiversity and providing good habitats for to improve the habitation, these conditions for different kind of birds, also fishes, and so on. So, for example, in one stream that was restored, it was not restored like it usually is done when only the sediments are taken out to provide free water flow. But in this case, we did not reconstruct the full section of the stream. We reconstructed only those sections where it was required, and then we left some of the sections untouched so that we would provide do not disturb the habitat as it is over there already good. And meanwhile, in this case, also in this Mazupīte stream in Aģe water body, we created also fish spawning areas because this is also a spawning ground for salmonic fishes coming from the Baltic Sea. And before restoration, we saw that there are different obstacles created by human, which obviously not allow for good fish migration, and also it disturbs the spawning grounds in the upstream part. And for that reason, all these also not only these obstacles created by humans, but also beaver dams. There were quite a lot of them also in this stream, so those also have been removed so that we could provide good stretch of stream for fish migration and spawning. In addition, there are 3 sedimentation ponds have been constructed in the upstream part, mid part, and also downstream part, so that there would be some places for sediments to accumulate. And also in this project, we created a migratory path for animals, for cows which are grazing in the catchment area, so that they would disturb the stream as less as it is possible in that area. So it was a complex. It was not only to provide good drainage of agricultural lands, which is of course also important from the economic point of view, but also we paid attention how to improve conditions for from different kinds of biodiversity perspective. And the same principle we apply also in other streams where either sedimentation ponds or constructed wetlands or other practices are implemented.
Where did the funding come from? And did the funders impose any specific constraints?
In this case, no. They did not cause any constraints since the funding is from the LIFE program. So we had a free will or free hands for actions that are suitable for specific water bodies. And from this point of view, yes, we didn't face any constraints.
What were the main challenges in implementing this project?
Okay, where should I start? There are quite a lot since when we found good locations for implementation of different kind of measures, and we were looking on those which had the highest potential to reduce nutrient losses, and we were looking for constructed wetlands and also sedimentation ponds. And the main challenges were to negotiate with landowners and farmers about their willingness to implement practices. And here I want to specific more that usually landowners and farmers are treated as the same, but in this case it is completely different. What we understood that there is a lot of land that is owned by persons who are living in cities or in or abroad, and so it is very difficult to communicate with them and also to um, to talk and to also explain what we are going to do, why we are going to do, and how this will improve not only the water quality but also landscape in your property and this recreational potential as well from the biodiversity perspective. So we try to to explain them all the benefits that what they could have. Sometimes we even didn't succeed to contact if person is living somewhere abroad. Sometimes persons who are living in the cities and only own the land, they are not so interested. They are also relying on the neighbors which are living in specific area. And that I would say was the main challenge to agree on our suggestions to be implemented on land with landowners. And then there is also a category like farmers, which sometimes are landowners and sometimes are not. So there is a lot of land rented out for farmers, and therefore, even though a farmer agreed to do something on the land that they manage, they need to agree also with landowner. And so we come back to the first challenge. And but what we can tell that farmers which own the land, they are the most responsive from this point of view, since they are working on the ground. They know that there is a need for proper drainage, proper air, soil, and moisture conditions on their agricultural land, so that they could be productive and grow good crop and still have at least impact on the environment as they can. So those were the main challenges that we faced. And then, of course, there are some legislation, how to say, interpretations and challenges that we also dealt with. For example, at the beginning of the project, we found a few locations in some areas which are designated as forested areas. But when we go to the site, we can see that all the trees are either gone or a long time ago, or they are dry, and it's not like the forested areas as it is usually recognized. So they are somewhat transitional, and sometimes they are forested areas only on the paper. And if you want to create, for example, constructed wetland in forested areas, then you need to make transition from forested areas to another land use. And it takes time, effort to do that. And not all landowners are willing to go through this procedure. So, but then of course, we try to address. We are not only implementing practices on the ground and not only monitoring, but we are also making suggestions for improvements in legislation. And as we have two ministries, it is easy to describe the situation, since they are also involved in this process, in the negotiations, in the seminars, in different kind of meetings, and they can see what changes are needed, and we can see that there is a progress towards changes in legislation, improved legislation as well.
What would you do differently next time and why?
I think that everything what we have planned has paid off. It showed the good results. Uh, so maybe I don't know like a specific things. Maybe we should approach landowners in a different manner, or to do some better job in explaining ourselves. Uh, we try to do it as good as we could, but maybe that would be the only thing that I would change, because monitoring activities had showed what they needed to show. Also, we found the good locations. We also communicated with landowners. We already have practices that have been implemented. So maybe I don't see yet what we would do in a different way. Um, at this point, since we are still in the process of of project implementation, maybe when all the practices will be on the ground, we will see their efficiency. Maybe at that point, it will be possible to see what maybe should be done in a different way.
Were there things that you wanted to do but could not?
We are very much struggling with uh, hydromorphological alterations, since there are a lot of obstacles in the streams which are historical, and sometimes they even don't belong to anyone. So there are some, for example, concrete step in the stream that was used maybe during, I don't know, Soviet Union times, like 30, 40, 50 years ago, and it's still there. And the landowner maybe even don't know if it is there, and that it is causing problems for fish and other water water for life forms to migrate. So that could be what I can mention. And also we have a lot of small hydropower plants which are causing erosion in the downstream water bodies, and they are holding water and then releasing it. And this ecological flow sometimes is an issue. And we wanted to create a fish path on small hydropower plants. There was one good location which initially looked good, but then landowner somehow changed his mind and didn't agree anymore. So currently we are looking for another small hydropower plant to establish such a fish path, and this is on the way. I still hope it will be done during the project, since we still have a few years of project left, that we will be able to to establish such a practice, also to show landowners and owners of the small hydropower plant that it is a feasible thing. And one more aspect that came to my mind also, there were few locations at the outlets of small catchments where we could implement constructed wetlands, but due to landowners' opinion, we couldn't do that. So otherwise, I think that everything what we have suggested is done already or will be done later on. Also, in terms of improved legislation, improved information for river basin management plans, and also to negotiate with the Ministry of Agriculture and with the Ministry of Climate and Energy about potential funding sources for these activities.
Are there aspects of this project that are specific to the location, region, or country? What would be transferable?
I would say that whole approach could be transferable. We are not doing anything country specific or region specific. Um, there might be a good chance that our project ideas would be more suitable for the Nordic Baltic countries instead of Southern European countries, since we are having too much water, while in the southern countries there are lack of water. And that could be the border where we could say that mm, in southern countries, some of the aspects would not be transferable. But when we look to the northern part and Baltic and the Baltic Sea region countries, I would say that it is transferable, and all the activities that we are doing in terms of reducing diffuse pollution, point source pollution to rivers, and reducing impacts of hydromorphological alterations, that would be exactly the same in other countries as well.
At what stage of implementation is this project today? How has it changed with climate change and over time?
The project started in 2020 and it will last until the end of 2027. So it is 8 year long project. So currently we are slightly over half of it, and we are going according to the planned activities. Of course, there are some minor deviations from different kind of point of views from different causes, but overall we are going in the speed and path as it was planned. About climate change, this is also we are trying to address this aspects since there is also a modeling platform developed in this project using SWAT Plus model, so that for the whole territory of Latvia, so that this model could be used for further analysis. For example, modeling water quality in a changing climate conditions, and also this model will be used to to calculate the effects of different practical actions that could be implemented in the landscape in terms of changes in farming practices and changes in water management, or implementing the water nutrient and water retention measures, like I mentioned before. And yes, what else comes to my mind in terms of climate change? Some of these measures are addressing climate change, like, for example, controlled drainage. That is one of the practice that we will implement and monitor also in the project. So farmers are facing drought conditions more often than it was before, and so they are willing to implement controlled drainage on their agricultural fields, so that they could try to save the water in the field and not to allow it to leave when it is not necessary. So that farmers are paying attention to this, and since it is expected in a changing climate that we will have more drought periods, we will have more intensive rainfalls in very short time period, we will have milder winters. So that all obviously is of interest for farmers, since they are very dependent on the weather conditions. And yes, controlled drainage basically is the only practice that we suggest from the point of view saving water, and the same way as we not allow water to leave agricultural field, we are reducing nutrient inputs in the streams as well. So there are practices, and also, as I told, these modeling tasks that are addressing these climate change potential impacts.
What do you see as the main challenges for freshwater restoration projects now?
The main challenge, I would say, is availability of funding. So that would be the main challenge. So if there would be some funds available, not only for example, improve performance of agricultural drainage, yes, but also in river restoration, most of the funds are dedicated to adaptation to climate change. For example, securing dams, or providing cleaning streams to avoid flooding risks and so on. So it is mainly focused in the direction of yes, adaptation to climate change from different perspectives. But when we talk about restoration from other purposes like biodiversity or just improved drainage, then there is, I would not say lack of funding, but less funding definitely than it is for uh, for these adaptation purposes. So I would say yes, targeted funding the rivers that has the highest potential from different point of views.
In your experience, what would you recommend to someone wanting to implement restoration projects to do as a priority?
So again, as we face limited funding, you have to select streams, rivers, which can provide the most of the benefit. And I think that the targeted implementation of practices can have a very good impact on stream restoration, since we likely in the nearest future will not be able to restore all of the streams as it would be maybe needed. So then we need to do prior the project evaluation, which streams should we address first. For example, if there is some funding becoming available, so then we already have a list of streams where these projects could be implemented, and this way we will save some time for analysis and for selecting these streams, and we could directly start with the project documentation and the practical activities, skipping this investigation phase before.
What would you recommend that they try to avoid?
I would recommend try to avoid streams which are already in good condition. So because we have these in Latvia, and also we are having sections of streams which are already in natural and good conditions from either physiochemical, water quality parameters, biological parameters, hydromorphological alterations. So let's not make situation worse in those stretches which are already in good. Sometimes maybe some fallen trees or some other natural processes are maybe to some people are overlooked as something negative, but we have to save what we have already, and we need to improve where it is really needed. And from this point of view, there is a need to involve different kind of experts, like for example, drainage expert, fish expert, biotope expert, and also maybe some others which are suitable for the specific location, and then allow these experts to agree that okay, this part from all the perspectives is good. So that's what I would try to avoid already changing something what is already good.
Do you have any suggestion for your government or the European Commission as to measures that might help enable more and more successful restoration projects?
It is better to have constant funding available so that landowners and also institutions that are taking care of water bodies, so that they could plan in a long term. Sometimes this funding is available for a few years or for the EU planning period, but then it stops. And so if something good is started, then it would be necessary to continue it in the long term. And it also what we hear from landowners and farmers, that they are thinking in the long term, and therefore, if we look from the legislation point of view, from the funding availability point of view, it is also recommended to think in a long term. And this way, even this funding would be still limited, but it would be for example, for I don't know, 10, 15 years, then it would be easier to manage it, rather than it is provided like in a campaign mode, and sometimes also terms are very, very short to implement projects, and so that makes it harder. So the suggestion would be, yeah, to provide a constant funding. Of course, there are many priorities. It could not be very much of the funding available, but still consistency would be very important.
In summary, what are your key messages for those facing the restoration challenge?
Maybe it is what I have mentioned before. The main stages that our project was, main steps that our project was implementing, monitoring activities first. Then you could, this way you can get a good perspective what is going on in a water body. Then planning of measures, not everywhere, but in targeted locations. Uh, Communication with landowners, and as many times as it is necessary to convince or to show all the good examples. And then, of course, there is a very much needed education for different kind of stakeholders, not only farmers, but also contractors, also training and consultancy agencies, so that also in the universities talk more about this. And yeah, education would be also of very important. So I would say these few aspects: monitoring, planning of measures and restoration, uh, communication with landowners and farmers, and then educational activities. So that are the key messages. Maybe what I could mention now.
Thank you very much for your answers. Have a nice day.